Welcome back to yet another 213 Crispy video, and today I'm attempting to do another paint scheme. This paint scheme on this buggy is for a TOR 22 5.0 Elite, and this is my brother's. He just bought it. This body was his original race body that he used when he had his double XT, which you guys have not seen yet. So he wants this body to be just like this one. So I'll bring this back in a minute, but I want to talk about some of the details that this body has, and that way you guys can get an idea of what you're looking at when you try to paint. So first things first, you see a pretty obvious V, but the coloring is a little different, and it's kind of what's hard to see in like normal pictures. But you notice the back is black, pink stripe. We're gonna have fluorescent green backing around all of the edging, and then it's going to have fluorescent yellow along some of the detailed like highlights, and it's going to be on the fenders. The trick to this is you have to do the green first, and then you back it with the yellow lightly around the edges, and that's going to give you that effect. And then the hood, same concept. It has black around the edges and silver on the inside. The silver on this one we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to do a chrome finish instead of silver, because I don't have a good silver that I think would look good with this, because none of this paint is metallic, and the only silver that I have that would match is my Proline aluminum, and it's kind of a metallic-y finish to it. I don't think that would look very well, so we are going to try some Spaz Sticks mirror chrome and then back it with black, and that gives you that chrome finish. So concept of how I'm going to paint this, I'm going to do the black first, and then I'm going to do the center highlight of black along the same time that I do the rear of the black, and then I'm going to do the center section for the chrome, and then I'm going to edge everything out and give me the green, so the green will be next, and then the last color is going to be pink. That's the order that I'm going to paint this particular body. The rule of thumb for you guys, if you're new to painting RC bodies, is typically you start from the darker colors first and go to the lighter colors last. That is the perfect world. Oh, and I also forgot, the pink that we're using is a hot pink, so it's not, I don't think it's going to be as close to the pink as what this one is, but it's going to be close enough. There's only so much I can do. This body is 20 years old. I can't make it perfect. So this is what I've done off of camera. So first things first, you hand wash this with soapy water, get everything nice and clean, and then you put on your window stickers on both sides. This one does not have a front window for some odd reason. I don't understand why it doesn't, but it doesn't. So I made some lines for where we're going to trim that out. That way we have a reference on where you need to be. This is going to be the front hood section, similar to the truck, where I got chrome. The pink is going to be around that, and then I'm also going to edge the windows in the hot pink as well. I think it's going to look pretty good. I did make a mistake, and this is why you draw on the outside of this with a Sharpie, because you get an idea of what you're looking for. So my original concept was to put the cross towards the front and run this V farther forward, but I realized that that's probably not going to work very well because it doesn't leave me a whole lot of room. So if I went from here all the way to the rear, it would leave me no room up here to give me this fade effect from green to the yellow. And that's kind of why I decided I want to move it back a little bit farther. I think it's going to look better this way. So I am just using traditional masking tape. I know there's other ways of doing it. You could spray mask on it and then use your X-Acto knife to trim it that way accordingly. That's up to you guys. The biggest thing I can stress to anybody that's painting, if you're new, is take your time. That's probably the most important thing I can tell you, is take your time, mask this very well, but also make sure it's clean. When you get the body from your manufacturer, there's some molds that is being used for a release agent. There's a chance that release agent is still on the plastic on the inside. So when you go to start spraying this, there's a chance that it's not going to stick. I would also suggest the longer you let this sit after you paint it, the better off you're going to have for chip resistances and everything else. I understand some people in a hurry. My brother is one of those people. He bought it today, and today is Thursday. He will not be getting his kit in the mail till tomorrow, I believe it is, and he's wanting to go racing on Sunday. So I'm kind of in a hurry to get this painted for him. That is pretty much what you need to do before you do any kind of painting or anything like that. It's not rocket science. Just take your time. I can't stress that enough. Take your time. The time has a lot to do with how good or how bad a paint job will come out. A rule of thumb, I'll say I'll spend probably 2 hours painting a body, give or take. It probably took me 45 minutes to come up with this design, mask it off the correct way that I wanted it to be masked off. No, is that a quick time? I don't know. Realistically, I would say somebody could probably do this quicker if they did it a different way. This is just how I do it, and I wanted to share it to you guys. So with that, some tools and stuff that you're going to need. I'm using an airbrush and a air pressure regulator, and these are set to roughly about 20 psi, and you're going to need an air compressor. Does not matter what size air compressor you have. I happen to have like a 30-gallon air compressor tank over there, and awesome, I forgot to turn the valve on, so I'll have to go do that. So I have no air over here right as of this moment, but I will in a second. That's nor here nor there. So paints I'm using, all of this is going to be Spaz sticks. I'm using the Mirror Chrome backed with the Ultimate Black. I've got High Gloss Black for the rear. We're going to do Neon Green and Fluorescent Green and Fluorescent Yellow and Hot Pink. Those are the, 6 colors that we're going to be using. And what I've noticed is you're going to want to have a scrap cardboard or paper or something to spray into to test as you're going. So I'm going to use some paper towels, shop towels, whatever you got. Like I said, you can use, actually, I'm going to try finding some cardboard. I would like to find cardboard because it doesn't soak into the material. So what I mean by that, and you know what, let me just go get some. I'll be right back. I'll get some air hooked up. We'll get some paint going, and I'm going to trim the black section out first, and I'm going to bring you guys back. And what I use to trim it is just a standard X-Acto knife. It's nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but it does the job. It does it very well. Oh, hold on. So I use this little kit that I got off Amazon as well. And it's got a X-Acto knife in it, and it comes with some new blades. So I will probably put a new blade on before I do this. We'll see how sharp it is. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to fight with it. I'll put a new blade in. Be done with it. Because the sharp blade makes your life a lot easier when it goes to trim these out. So I'm going to cut on the inside of this line all the way around to give me the black, and I'm going to cut the center section out of my hood. And I'm going to bring you guys right back, and then I'm going to have some cardboard to demonstrate to you what I'm talking about on testing your airbrush before you start spraying. So with that, I'll be right back, guys. Okay, so I've got our first layer cut and peeled off. It took me, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. Take your time. Tip, don't use a ton of pressure with your sharp X-Acto knife. Let the knife do the work for you. Also, when you're masking, try to use as less tape as possible per layer. It makes it harder to cut through 3 or 4 layers of tape when you're trying to cut this out. Once you have everything cut, the most important thing of this tip, if you take one tip from me out of anything that I've learned of painting with aerosol cans over the years, is just make sure you go back over with your fingers around the edges to make sure that you get this nice and it's tight. You don't have any edges coming up, especially around like these humps, because if you do, then it will bleed, or you will not get a very defined line. So that's that. That's my biggest tip. If you take anything away from me today, that's the tip I can give you. So I'm going to show you how to prepare your airbrush to get yourself ready. So now my particular airbrush is not a fancy one by any means. It was $22 on Amazon. How to use it, you push down and you hear the air start. The farther back you pull, the more paint gets siphoned through your airbrush. And my particular model has a stop, so I can set this. So for example, let me go all the way in. So if you notice, I can only go, let me go all the way in. I can't even move back. So if I open this up, I can go back a little bit. If I go a little bit more, and as you see, the farther I open this, the farther back this goes. So what that means is the farther back you pull on your arm with my model, the more paint that you can get out of it. So if you're doing big areas, for example, like the rear, you can probably go all the way back with this thing and let it go to town. If you're trying to do minute shadowing, then you could get by with cranking this down and only using like half, for example. Some people will just not even run one of these stops, and they can just control it by how far that they're going back with this. It's personal preference to you as the user. I would say if you're new, start pretty low, because you can always add more paint. It's hard to take away paint once you put it on a body. So I'm gonna go about right there for now. So first things first, we are doing black. So I'm going to do this with my cup lid off. I already cleaned this pretty good last time I used it. So always mix your paint really good before you use it. I mixed all these up earlier, but give it a 2, 3, 4 minute shake. The better off you'll be in the long run. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier or not, but you're going to need some airbrush cleaner, especially when you go to start changing from color to colors. That should be good. We're not doing a big body, so this should not take a ton of paint. So take your paint, pour it in. We'll go about right there. It's about, I don't know, a quarter of the way filled up. So I'm going to show you the tip that I was talking about earlier about the difference from cardboard and paper towels. So if I start with this, and if I try to make a pull, you notice the paper towel sucks it in. But if I do it over here on cardboard, and if you try doing this enough, you can see the difference of the pulling and the not pulling over here. And it's because the paper towel is basically soaking the paint in as it goes, where this is going to act more like your body. So when you go to paint, you know, okay, that's not enough or that's too much. So let's say I want to open this sucker up a little bit more, then you can do that. So it's personal preference. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. because I'm going to do the front first, and I want a little bit more control. So there we go. I'm happy with that. So start always somewhere else. Sorry about that, my air compressor kicked on. So I went ahead and edged around that to my liking, or at least I thought I did. I missed a spot. Okay, so now that I got the back, I'm going to work on the back. I'm going to open up this a little bit more. We're going to let some more paint go through. This way we can cover more surface area basically as we go. Go as small coats. It will dry better and it will dry faster. So the first coat, you really want kind of a small, thin dusting basically. Let's give me some fits. There we go. So this is where you just take your time. And I'm going extremely light. But like I said, I'm doing this because I want a really small, thin coat. And this is going to help the paint stick when you go to apply more coats. That's all you're really doing. You're not trying to get full coverage. You're not trying to paint it in one coat. You're just trying to get a thin, even coat on all the parts, all the crevices and corners. And really, if you do this right and you go light enough, you pretty much don't have to stop to let this dry, because you're not putting enough paint on the body. The problem with doing this is it takes forever. So your professional painters and stuff won't be this tedious about their first layer. They'll go a little bit heavier. Some people can get by with it. They'll use heat guns. I mean, there's some tricks. You can put a heater on it and blow the heater into it. But that's like a base coat for base number 1. And I'm going to do, I don't know, 3-4 coats of that probably. I'm just working on seeing if I can't get this to flow a little bit better. To me it seems like it's a little gummy. So clean the tip off a little bit here. Now, I don't think I'm using the big tip. I think I got the small one in here. You could replace it and put the bigger tips because sometimes your airbrush kits will come with more than one. So I'm not that worried about it. So I'm going to go with the heavy coat now. Kind of hard to do this and for you guys to see at the same time. So I apologize if you don't get everything. I kind of have to see too. So when you start getting a little heavier on your paint, then you can hold it up to some light, and that light will bleed through. That'll show you where your thin spots are and your dark spots, so you can go through, do another coat. I mean, I'm nowhere near thick enough yet, so okay. You see my finger moving back and forth? That's me working this. Try and get a little bit more paint out of it. But feel like this needle is just a tick too far forward. Should be about right there. A little better. Still getting some splattering, but it's definitely better than it was. So I'm going to lift this up. I don't want to spray my aluminum base, so you guys get the point with this. Let me finish the black. I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with it. So now that we've got the black finished, I'm going to let it dry for a few minutes. I'm going to set it off to the side. Here's where things get quirky for some people, and it's personal preference from what I figured out more than anything. Some people will clean their airbrush between colors. Some people don't. It's personal preference. I'm too new to know the difference, so my rule of thumb is I want it clean. So I have been going through, drained out what black I had left back into my container, which is still like 80%, 90% full, and I've done 2 bodies in black now. So, I mean, this paint lasts forever. It's crazy how little you actually use, which is nice about airbrush, where cans you kind of run out of with aerosol. It gets all gunky and nasty, and so what I use is a little bit of paint thin or airbrush cleaner. Put that in there. I'll use an old brush. I'll mix it around in there. And then a tip, you can put your finger on the end, turn it on, it'll bubble, and that actually back feeds back and mixes up what's there. You can dump it in. A lot of people will just use water. Again, it's personal preference, and I'm going to take my towel. I'll go in here, and I'll go around the inside. So you're going to notice the inside that's nice and clean. I don't really care too much about the outside of it. And then wouldn't hurt, always clean it a little bit as you can. I'm having some issues with consistency today with my airbrush. So, like I said, I don't know what tip is on it. I'm gonna find out real quick. It comes with a 0.5 and a 0.2 tip. I've been told just run the bigger one. You're gonna get more volume out of it that way. I don't know what's in it currently. So it comes with that. So I'm gonna open up the 0.5 tip. There's also a needle on the end. You know what? No, I think I'm gonna do this without that. So I'm gonna pull the. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep using what I got. I mean, it's working. So I'm gonna put my needle back in. I don't know the technical names of these, so I'm sorry, guys. I just know enough about how the concept of this works. So that's that. And then it comes with a little tool to take the tip out. This tool is not the most precise thing in the world. You don't have to go this gung-ho between colors. The only reason why I'm doing it is because I was having some issues with some paint splattering and very inconsistent sprays. So I want to give this a quick basically a quick cleaning real fast. I'm just going to use my old brush. Put that back on. I won't go this detailed next time I go to clean it. Well, between colors, I should say. A lot of people will just dump the new color in, and then they will they'll spray until well, that's no good. Well, I broke that tip, so hopefully I can get a new one on. This looks like we're putting a new one on anyway. So, we'll see. Oops. That's why you do this in a place that you don't care too much about, or on surfaces you don't care too much about, because of that reason right there. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. Everybody spills stuff. It happens. So, problem is my needle, my tip, broke off inside, and I don't think that's going to tighten down all the way. It might have. So let's see what happens when I put this sucker in. that. Put that back on. Let's see what happens. So now I want to do my chrome. So take the chrome, clean up the area. Now this paint's pretty awesome, honestly, because it looks like chrome when it's done. Like, it's pretty badass, actually. And I'm not going to need a whole lot on this, so minimalist is going to go a long way with this paint. It's like water, and I just poured it right on the body. That's what I didn't want to do, but it happens. So drain that off. Oh, that ain't gonna work. That's what I was afraid of. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix this. So well, let's save this paint before I lose it all. Ain't a whole lot there. So I'll bring you guys back. Let me fix my airbrush because I broke. Okay, so we are on day 2 now. And first things first, I want to apologize for kind of skipping and missing some steps on how I painted it, because the airbrush that I was using ended up breaking on me, and it became a disaster, kind of downhill from there. So I want to give you all an update on how I did it, so that way you guys can do it yourself. It was more of, I think, user error on my end than it was anything else, because I was fighting getting a consistent spray out of my airbrush, especially when I got to the green. So I started off by doing the black. You guys seen in the previous clip, I had everything masked off. I started off with spraying the black, and you guys watched that portion of it. And I was struggling a little bit with it, but it wasn't nothing like it was until I got to the green. So I dumped all the black out, cleaned it all up using the airbrush cleaner. So I took my X-Acto knife, cut around my mask marks on where I wanted to peel off the green section. It was supposed to be green fading to a yellow. Unfortunately, I got some bleed through from the pink because I did it too quick, and I'll explain that part in a minute, but it made orange basically. But as I was doing it, the green, it just wasn't working. It was coming out in real bad blobs. So I discovered whenever I was cleaning it from the black, I had broke the nozzle tip of my airbrush. So this is large scale, so use your imagination. So on the top of your airbrush, where it's got the nozzle and you pull forward and backwards, imagine this is the needle on the inside. And then it's got a nozzle that it's got to go through. We'll just use my fingers as the nozzle. And it's got a point, it actually has to stick out of that nozzle, and then it pulls back as you pull back on that lever to allow air to get sucked up through the bottom. And as that air goes through the nozzle, it creates a vacuum, and it sucks paint through it and shoots out. So what happened was the nozzle, the threads on the nozzle broke inside of my airbrush, so I was not able to get a good consistent spray pattern, which was preventing me from being able to do what I wanted to do. I kept fighting it, kept fighting it, kept fighting it, kept fighting it, and I finally just kept, because at this point I had to finish this for my brother. He needed it by this weekend, so it needs time to dry, so I had to get it done. I am not happy with this by any means. If anything, I am actually pretty upset that it came out this way, but I mean, it is what it is. It's my first total freehand job with no stencils or anything. I don't think it looks, physically it looks okay. It's got some issues, but it is what it is. So I did the green next, and then I did the yellow. Well, by the time I switched to the yellow, the nozzle was broke even more, and it wasn't working worth the crap, and I had to super glue it back on just to get it to spray. So it was spraying in real bad blobs, and it was a nightmare. And then once I did that, I finally got the pink to work, and then I sprayed it all in white. All in all, I mean, it's okay. It could be a lot better. Am I happy with it? No. Could I have done better? Absolutely. So once you apply your masks and you go to peel them off, I just use the edge tip of my X-Acto knife, and I'm able to get in here and pull back and uncover that. And you just do the same thing with any of the other masks. So all I can tell you is just take your time. And that's the same for anything else. So like if I wanted to paint these windows, like let's say I wanted to tint them, I could take my airbrush and gently go over like a real light coat of black on there, and it would give it that effect. So I always line all my bodies with white, and you can see just by the white, I don't have a great cover of white on this because again, the doggone airbrush just did not want to work with me. So that is that. We're going to peel off the top, and we're going to take a look at this together real quick. But other than that, that's all I wanted to give you guys an apology on this video, because I was going to go through step by step on peeling off each layer, spraying it, and showing you kind of the details of why you do what you do. So every body has a top layer on it with plastic. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to get to, sometimes they're not. This one's being a little bit of a pain. So come on. I mean, all in all, like I said, it don't look terrible. It's just not, it's not what I wanted. I wanted this to be a little bit better. Oh, come on. This film is terrible. So that gives you guys an idea of what it looks like from start to finish. Am I happy with it? Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's all right. It holds its own. So compare them side by side. They're pretty doggone close. It's a little different, especially the front nose section. I get it. But the side profile view, which is the main view of what you're going to see, just for side-by-side comparison, it's pretty close. And you can see the blotchiness of the green that I was fighting. It's pretty obvious. If I had to do this again, I'll probably paint all of this green and then fade just the nose to yellow, and probably paint all of this green and just leave the bottom tip yellow, and then kind of fade the yellow up here, up towards the front, like about right here, and paint all that green. I tried highlighting the edges of the body to give it some detail. Back to the bleed through colors. So because I was fighting issues with my paint not spraying consistent, it was blobbing real bad chunks, and it wasn't dry. So when I sprayed the pink on top of it, it bled. It actually mixed the colors of yellow and pink, and it made orange. So you see a couple spots of orange. It just gives it, honestly, a little bit of a character, but it's his first body. It's going to get destroyed anyway. For a masking job of just straight masking tape, I've got a blemish here of the black and a little bit of an edging here and a little bit of an edge problem there, and right on these corners on both ends I got a little bit of bleed through on the black. Other than that, for a simple mask job of masking tape, I think it came out pretty nice. Like I said, could it be better? Absolutely. Could it be worse? With the airbrush problems that I was having, hands down it could be worse. But with that, I just want to give you guys an update. So we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe. I also appreciate you guys' feedback. It helps keeps me moving on things that you guys might like to see or enjoy. And I believe the next video that I will be doing is probably a 24-volt power supply modification for my charger, so keep an eye out for that. And then I am going racing in 2 days on Sunday, and I'm going to take you guys along with me, and me and my brother will be there together running our buggies. So with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.